love it. So good morning and welcome to all of you. Welcome back, Nemo. We're so glad to see you again here. I'm just very grateful. I'm grateful for each and every one of you here this morning. I'm grateful for us as a community. I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to come here every Sunday to connect and to share and to care and to love and to grow. This is just awesome. It's a huge blessing. It's a blessing for me, and I hope it's a blessing for you. So as we start this morning, I want to share something and just call your attention to something that happened this week out in the big world, so to speak, which I think is really cool. This is the March 1st special edition issue of Newsweek. Centers for Spiritual Living, our parent organization, is featured on page 28. Yeah. It's really cool. I had trouble finding copies. It's gone from Walmart here, I can tell you that much. I did leave some, but not many. And I have this one to give away. Katie, catch. So you can find this online. I meant to print the PDF, the one-page article, and have copies for you today, and I just got busy doing other things and forgot that. I'll try to do it this week and bring them next Sunday. But it's a wonderful article. It's a wonderful edition. It's got so much rich stuff about so many different spiritual practices. If you can find a copy, get it. It's worth the $11 or something that I think I paid for it, just because it's got some really awesome stuff in it. And what it focuses on with Centers for Spiritual Living is something I am so very proud of, and that is our education. Okay, we probably have, of any, I don't think you want to call us a formal denomination, but of any informal kind of alternative teaching, we probably have the strongest, most significant array of classes and book studies and practices and processes. You can take classes just for fun. You can come to book studies just to play and, expand yourself, your knowledge, your spiritual basis. You can take classes to become a licensed practitioner, such as Carol is and Katie is in training to become. You can take classes to become a minister. You can now take the 2-year, it's really more like a 7-year in my world, master's degree track that I took to become an ordained minister. And you don't have to become the minister. You can leave out the how to run the church part and just take those classes now. It's a really amazing collection of strong, deeply rooted spiritual practice and process. It's really phenomenal. How many of you have taken a class here? How many of you can say that class changed your life? Yeah. I know that I just wouldn't be who I am today without this teaching and without the classes. And I didn't start going to Sunday services. I was afraid of that business. You weren't getting me in a room with 300 people, okay? That was the closest Saints of Mind community that was present. I started going to classes thinking there would be 12 or 15 people there. There were 85 at the first class I took. And I almost left. I really almost walked out. I'm not a crowd person, especially alone, perception of alone, okay? And the funny story is the woman who had been doing my hair for 10 years from Hair Plus at the Asheville Mall was sitting at the back of the social hall in Asheville, and she turned around and saw me walk in and came rushing out and said, "You belong here." When she got me to a chair, she sat me down with a woman that I did not recognize. The last time I had seen her, I had hair down to here and a belly out to here because I was fixing to drop my second child. She was the administrative assistant who worked on the addictions recovery unit at St. Joe's Hospital with my husband. And I didn't remember her. You're pregnant and crazy, right? You don't remember anything except you're pregnant and you're crazy, basically, okay? But she remembered me. And between those two ladies, I'm standing here today because they were in that room. They helped me change my life. I didn't even know I wanted to. So classes are amazing. A really cool thing is that while we offer, a fair number of things here at Opendoor, and we tend to run from late spring through about December, and then I just like to drop off the map. I don't like to try to fight the snow and ice and get people in and out of classes and across mountains and all that business in the winter. But it is actually possible to take a lot of stuff online today too, which is huge, and that's just really kind of coming into, its fullness. So yeah, so get a copy of Newsweek. I am so proud of our parent organization. I'm so proud of us. Years ago when I said I'm starting a study group in Sylva, North Carolina, I had people look at me in the eye and say it won't work. Thank you for being here today and making this work, for living your truth. I love you guys. So on we go. Last week we began to do some house cleaning. Carol mentioned, what do you not like about spring? The house cleaning. It seems to almost be a germ of some sort, or a bug that infiltrates us. Mike has been running around the outside of the townhouse all week, moving bushes here and there and transplanting things and fixing the grounds the way he thinks that they should be. I get out of the way. It's just like, don't mess with a woman with a mop in her hand. Don't mess with that man when he's got a shovel in his hand. It's looking better all the time now. It's really beautiful. But it's that time to spring clean. And last week we started with kind of a theme that will move us all the way through March, and that is a 30-day mental diet to cleanse up our thinking, just like we will in our homes, or maybe we will, I probably won't, you might, okay, in our homes come spring, in our yards. We embarked upon a methodology that will help us clean up our thinking. We get it that trained thought is more powerful than untrained thought in this teaching. And that's really all about, that's what a lot of what we do here is about, that and just loving on each other and having fun. If you were not here last Sunday and you want to get in on that, you will be able to see it on YouTube in another week or two. It's in the hands of the beloved who processes that and makes that available on YouTube. So it will be there, and it's called One Thought at a Time. This week, you guessed it, we're looking at feelings. Oh my gosh, okay? It's important that we look at this stuff, because when we look back all the way through history, what we find is that even before the birth of Jesus, we go back to Buddha, and that he made a statement, let me quote him, "Rule your mind or it will rule you," okay? Fast forward to today, and Joel Osteen tells us, whatever controls your thoughts, controls you. Think about it, isn't that truth? If something is niggling in your craw and you can't get it out, does it keep you awake at night? Okay? Do you finally drop off to sleep just to be like Karen Drucker, tossing and turning, okay? Because all that stuff was rocking around, and then you get up in the morning and it's right back at you. It's almost like a germ, isn't it? It's terrible. But we're going to do some more mental house cleaning this week. You can jump in this process with us and enjoy it. You don't have to have been here for last week. So I do want to ask, one of the things we did was we had little affirmation cards, and then on those cards they contain suggestions for dealing with negative thoughts, whether they came from the past, an immediate present time experience, or perhaps they were in the form of worry, something that might go on in the future. If you embrace this process, put your hand in the air. Anybody want to share what it did for you or your experience with it? Yeah, Judy, go for it.
I haven't told Carol yet, but
cool.
The week before your sermon, I had met with Carol because I was concerned about finances and wondering whether I should put my house on the market. And from a logical standpoint, looking at my financial statement, yes, I should. But it didn't. I had multiple feelings, and I have not done the spring cleaning. And so when I talked to Carol, I said, she said, well, you can take some time to think about it, but you should get the house on the market by April 1st. And I said, well, okay, I told God I need an answer by next week. And so I'll be able to give you an answer by next week. She looked at me and said, okay.
Okay.
And I went the first morning. I got up after getting the affirmation card, started reading it, and when you talked about the future, it mentions that I'm going to look forward to the future and worthy ambitions, but I'm not going to have let worry and dread or fear guide me. And it was this, thank you God, I get it. This is why I've been so upset. I'm making the decision from the wrong place right now.
Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. And isn't it huge when we go full circle with something like that?
And it was 1 week.
It changes the whole dynamic of it, doesn't it? Yeah. This is powerful. This is powerful, powerful stuff. If there was anything I could tell you about this life experience that has meant more to me, it is the understanding that no matter what is going on, I have the capacity to make the choice about how I see it, whether I choose to worry, whether I choose to go into the mental minutia, okay, whether I choose to look at it as a problem, or whether I choose to recognize it as just a whole lot of friends and opportunities I haven't said hello to yet, So that's awesome. It's really powerful. Anybody else want to share their experience? Okay, great. So thank you for sharing that. So this week we're going to work on feelings, and feelings are amazing, okay? Sometimes I just feel kind of speechless because realistically it's very hard, I believe, in this culture that we live in here in the Western world to really embrace our emotional selves. There's an awful lot of stuff that sets us up for not doing that in a very good way. But when we don't, we're kind of like this young man who went out. He was going to go out and fish. He was going to go out and sit on the side of the riverbank. So he got his fishing pole and he got out there. And after he'd been there a while, he noticed this elderly gentleman who came out and he had his fishing stuff all set up, got it all going there, a little ways away from him, threw the line in and just began to catch one fish after another fish after another fish. And of course, some of those fish were little tiny fish. Some of those fish were great big fish. And what the young man noticed was over the long haul, the elderly person just kept throwing back all the big fish. Didn't make any sense to him, right? You put back the little ones, let them grow till next year and save the big ones, take them home and eat them. Finally, he went up to the guy and he said, "Why are you doing this?" And the guy said, "I only have a 10-inch frying pan. I can't cook anything bigger than 10 inches. So the big fish got to go back." Sometimes when it comes to our feelings, we only allow a certain size or shape or emotional continuum in. And we look at those feelings, we might call them fear or hate or anger or guilt or resentment or jealousy. There's a lot of them. Okay? And we might go, "I don't want to feel that mess. I'm not going to feel that. Forget it." Okay? And so what we do is we just kind of go, okay? We shove them down. And what we do when we bury them is we bury them alive. Now there's a great example. This is just so perfect. Any of you in here Downton Abbey fans? Oh my God. I don't have TV tonight, so I gotta wait until tomorrow night when it airs online and I can watch it, okay? Don't call me and tell me what happened. Okay? I love those people as if they are my family. I'm gonna cry. I cried last night. We just watched episode number 8, I guess, last night, okay? And if you didn't see it last Sunday, Mary threw a fit. You know who Mary is. Mary is the snooty heiress to everything the 5th Earl of Grantham ever put together, okay? And she's got all the opportunity in the world at her fingertips, and she's just a snot, okay? She's going off on her little sister. Her little sister called her a you-know-what. I was like, "Go, Edith!" Mike was like, "This is worse than a man in front of a football screen," okay? I'm like, "Shut it, you can leave, okay? I'm having my party with, Mary and Edith." But Mary really had an issue when she was a very young woman, right after the birth of her little boy. Her husband was tragically killed in an automobile accident. In the story, cars had just come out, and of course they have all the money in the world, so they bought a hot, fancy race car, and Matthew was driving, and he felt so happy and free. His little boy was born, his wife loved him, everything was good, and he has an auto accident and is killed, okay? Flash forward years later to last Sunday, and here's Mary She survived all that, and yet she really didn't thrive through any of it. She was born and bred in a time when women didn't cry. You never showed your true colors no matter what they were, okay? And so here she is. This wonderful man wants to marry her. And guess what he does for a living? He's a race car driver. And she's shunned him and turned away from him and from all the love that she could have because she just hasn't dealt with her stuff, okay? When we bury our feelings, they don't go away. They come back. And sometimes, you know, what we understand in this teaching is they come back in some really gross ways, okay? My introduction to this science of mind metaphysical teaching came about 30 years ago. I tore all of the ligaments out of my right foot while hiking on the parkway with my soon-to-be husband, later to be ex-husband, thank God. Okay, it's all been wonderful, blissful not, but, you know, good educational experience. So the next day I'm sitting on my couch and, you know, Karen Drucker could have torn me a new one with that song, okay, because I was so full of self-pity. It was not even amusing. So a friend of mine walks in and he says, he's got this big grin. I didn't know this guy very well then. I learned later, you watch that face, okay? Because when you see that grin, something's coming. He had this big grin on his face. He sticks this book in my face and he says, you need to read this. I think it will really help. Have a great day, bye. And he runs out the door, okay? I read, it wasn't as big back then, I don't think, okay? Or it didn't seem to be. I read the whole book in one day. I cried through most of it. When my friend Buck came back the next morning, I threw the book at him, okay? Who in here has not read this book? Who in here doesn't have this book? Paul, I'm not going to throw it. Here you go. Pass that back to Paul.
I
That's
tore
yours,
mine apart.
okay?
Mine is literally
Yes.
ripped
I
apart.
have gone through copy after copy. I don't think there's any highlighting or nasty four-letter words in the margins. But if there are, just know they came in, you know, the true sense of my, you know, honest presence in the world there, okay? You know, the big thing about what Louise Hay teaches in that book, and that's You Can Heal Your Life. We'll get some more from the bookstore. We'll get you a copy if you don't have it. I'm just committed to everybody having that book and really having had the opportunity to treasure it the way that I have, okay? When you read that book, what you find out about is this, that in her work over 30 or 40 years, Louise recognized that when we have feelings and we don't deal with them, we simply stuff them into our bodies. And sometimes they come out sideways. They come out as physical disorders. Many years ago, I had ulcers. And at the time, I had, you know, like no money, no insurance, no blah, 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 okay? I went to the doctor and he said, well, sounds like ulcers to me, and we're not going to do all the testing. You don't have the money or the coverage for that. But let's just treat it like it's ulcers, okay? This was after somebody gave me that book, and I didn't look in it. Years later, Belly Healed, I looked it up, and what Louise says about ulcers is essentially it's fear of people. I was at a point in my life where I was so fragile in my expression of self in the world that I was terrified of showing my face outside of my door. It just was eating me up inside, okay? Can you tell it's been healed? Thank God, okay? And, you know, me and all the rest of them, okay? It's amazing. What we understand in this teaching is that if we don't deal with our feeling stuff, it comes out sideways. And even Ernest got that. Don't freak out when you see this book, okay? This book is not meant to be read. This book is meant to be savored, a page or two, a topic or two at a time, okay? I can't tell you that I've read the whole thing completely more than once. I did go back and read the stuff about Jesus recently because something we were doing here, I don't know what it was, I don't remember. But there's 2 chapters in there that where Ernest talks about the physical presence or physical healings. There's 2 chapters in there. He got it even in the 1920s, 100 years ago, that what was going on in the mind had to have been related to what was going on in the body. That we are one, not segregated, separated components. Okay? If it makes you crazy, well, join the flock, okay? You know, that's hard to accept sometimes, especially in this teaching, because we recognize this is a very mental approach to life. What Ernest was really all about was, again, training up the thought, training up the mind to use the mind in ways to create the world that we want to see, not just for ourselves, but for all of humanity. We know that works. Somebody remind me of the name of the guy who just went into Syria. Who was it? And did the meditation. He knows. We got it. Masuro Emoto knew it when he for 400 people to a polluted lake and cleaned the water up. It wasn't a huge cleansing, but it changed, chemically changed, based on research, the nature of the water in the lake. Okay? If 400 people can do that by meditating for a couple hours, what can we as a species do in terms of changing the presence of the nature of life on this planet for all of us? Simply through our thought, through our feelings, a lot. Okay? But in this teaching, it's a very mental philosophy. Often if people come here, they get this misguided notion, hear me now when I say it's misguided, that they have to always be happy in this presence or in this center. The truth of the matter is, you can drag yourself in here with your you-know-what falling off, and I will give you a bag to put it in, okay? We will help. You got that phrase, that's a 12-step phrase. They say, come, even if your rear end falls off, put it in a bag and bring it here to a meeting is what they're saying, okay? But the truth of the matter is, you don't have to be whole, perfect, and complete coming in this door. When I get up at 4 o'clock on Sundays, I'm not, okay? Or if I am, it sure doesn't look like it, okay? Or feel like it, Our experience here, our teaching here, is about taking ourselves from wherever we are in any given moment and moving forward with it. And sometimes it's very much incremental. Sometimes it seems to go backwards. That's often the case with feeling, okay? There have been periods of time in our lives, for some of us, where all we could do for weeks on end was hurt. And hurt. And that's not fun, okay? The true mission of any teaching chapter, of any Science of Mind community, is not just to provide the tools to help us move from that place, but to sit with us when we feel so broken that we can't move ourselves. Okay? Hear that from me. Our community is not just happy-go-lucky. It is real. Okay? And I love you. You call me anytime you need to. Okay. I want to tell a funny story about the mind and the body. And this is a little, kind of segue here. We'll go back to laughing. Wouldn't like to do that here. Many years ago when I started ministerial school, I was gifted to be allowed to teach a class with a fellow practitioner at the Center for Spiritual Living, Asheville. Some of you have heard about Francis Leahy. Francis then was well into his 70s and retired. And oh my God, you never met such a you-know-what and piece of work. He was retired Navy. Let me tell you, if things did not work for him, every word in the book, he would start slamming the table. People would run, okay? You would have to tell him, calm down, Francis, you're chasing people away, and you have a good message. So I was assigned to teach a class with Francis, okay? That's not really what happened, but, I think I was assigned to be babysat by Francis, okay? It was more like that. But at any rate, Francis and I were on the phone one day. We were going to teach this class, and so we're having these phone calls about how to do this and what the different parts would look like and who would teach what. And so at the end of the phone call, Francis said to me, and this is very common for, one who's a practitioner, for two people who are practitioners, to say to each other, what can I know for you? What we mean by that is, what can I know in prayer for you? What can I hold as truth for you? Okay? What can I see unfolding in your life? And so I said, well, Francis, I've just started ministerial school. I have no idea. I don't have any money. I can't even find a job, okay? Thank you very much, that pays anything, okay? I don't know how I'm going to make it through this. And I don't need to know, but if you would just know that I have plenty of money. Oh, my God, okay? Francis says, I'm sure that he thought that I carried this in my back pocket, okay, all the time, like, right? He said, do you have your Science of Mind text handy? And I said, yes. I'm like, why? He said, turn it to page 231. Well, when you turn to page 231, in the chapter, Physical Perfection, okay, the first of the two chapters about healing physical stuff, we find the topic to be on the focus of constipation. I'm like, oh, you should have heard what was coming out of my mind, okay? The first sentence, never think a sick person is one who merely has a sick body, okay? And it goes on. But can you see where a constriction in the mind, something that has to do with worry, fear, lack of, anxiety, don't know how, don't know when, don't know what to do, and don't know who to turn to, could very easily turn into a constriction in the body, okay? Or a constriction in the flow, literally the flow of abundance that is what the universe is all about. Well, Francis knew this, okay? I told that story at his funeral. That was the only way I could think of to get back at him for telling me to read constipation out loud for 21 days. If you take a class here, by the way, that will be one of your very first assignments. So you know that it's really all fun, okay? What we see in this teaching from Louise and from Ernest is that we get it, that the mind and the body and the spirit are one. And if we work on one arena, we will always affect the other ones. We can't not, okay? So when we talk about feelings, we get it, that yes, this may be a mental approach, all in all. But when we deal with our feelings, we change the nature of our thought system and our bodies and the way the world responds to us. Yet we live in a culture here in this Western world where we are very early on usually coached and told, don't cry. Your feelings aren't good. They aren't valid. Somebody dies, and in our hierarchical system, if you work in a situation where they pay you for leave, you might get, that's 3 fingers, yeah, 3 days of bereavement leave. So the idea is, get over it, be done with it, and get yourself back to work. We don't want to know anything about your pain or your misery, okay? We tell people, oh, don't talk about it, and it won't bother you so much. We even encourage people, like I said, to go straight back to work after a major loss. We tell our children, when they get old enough to start dating, and they have a breakup, which they will, most of them, okay? How many of them start dating the right one right out of the gate? Probably never, okay? Oh, forget that guy. Forget that girl. She doesn't mean anything. You can find somebody better. We don't validate what's going on a feeling level. And at 14 or 15, when you lose your true love, it is, it's a near fatal, kind of life and death experience. When we do that again, we bury our feelings, and we bury them alive. It's really a socially abhorrent thing that we don't recognize the damage potential that is created when we don't allow ourselves and our culture to feel and to be where we are. Think about that little guy, Dylan Roof, who walked into that church in Charleston. Nobody's going to tell me he had a great childhood. Sorry. Okay? Nobody's going to tell me that from the time he was a little boy, somebody coached him in how to effectively and lovingly feel what he felt and validate himself while learning to handle it, as the rest of us were concerned, with the rest of the world. It's important for for us to recognize with feelings that anything that we resist is going to persist. It will keep up until we deal with it. This is nature's way of healing us. It's ingrained. It's a part of who we are and what we are, and it ain't going to change. We have to learn to do the emotional work. Neil Donald Walsh tells us life begins at the end of our comfort zone. If we're uncomfortable emotionally right now, we can change the lens. Just like going to the eye doctor, we can change the perception of the way that we see it and recognize that maybe it's a beginning, not an ending. Just because it's changed doesn't mean it's wrong. It means it's different. We adapt. We are adaptive creatures. So what do we do with all that emotional mess? Okay? I don't know about you guys, but like I said, at 4 or 5 or 6, or sometimes even 7 or 8 in the morning, when I first get up, it isn't pretty. Okay? The cats help, kind of, unless I fall on my face from tripping over them, and then they really don't help, and I have some words of prayer for them. But I have been gifted over the years with a process that I call journaling to the truth. How many of you journal? Anybody in here do any writing? Okay? To me, that is like a spiritual muscle. Okay? And the more that I have used it and worked this process, the faster it has gotten to where it works for me. Okay? Journaling to the truth for me has been a way of being incredibly honest with myself about how I feel about every situation in my life, whatever it is that's kind of like the grain of sand in the oyster beginning to fester. Okay? It's a way of being honest with that grain of sand, that irritation, okay, that pain or that heartache, and also recognizing that there's something else at large here. There's a bigger truth, and if I will get, some movement around that, I will change the nature of how I'm feeling and what's going on in my world. What I like to do in this journaling to the truth is to simply write and hold back nothing. When I moved almost 10 years ago now from my house to my townhouse, I had a Rubbermaid tub so full of those copybooks, the copybooks we all went to school with, yeah? Okay, front and back, you can't read it because it's sometimes in places the paper is torn. Well, I'm not that, angry all the time, but on occasion, okay? This tub was so big, it was full of those things, I couldn't carry it. I took it to my townhouse, and I kept having to move stuff. You know how when you're moving in, you goes in that room, no, it goes in this room, no, it goes, put it in that closet. Well, I finally got smart and quit putting it on upper shelves, okay, because I would have to get someone put it up there and then get it down, okay, or get up there and take half of them out where I could move the whole tub. They finally went to the paper recycling after a while because I got tired of moving them, okay, and I couldn't burn them. Where I live, I can't burn stuff, but I would have, okay. Writing that stuff down was a way of cleansing my soul and getting out of me, okay. That's the first step in journaling to the truth. The second step is just writing down the truth, okay? So I'm incredibly angry at a situation, so somebody has gotten in my face and, maybe they've called me on something in a very truthful and honest way. Maybe I needed to call him, okay? Or maybe not. Maybe it's garbage, okay? But whatever it is, I begin to claim and know the truth in writing, that I'm an agent of the divine. You can't stop me. You can't stop any one of us, okay? You can't take anything that we truly are away, whether we're walking around in a body or not. The spiritual stuff is always going to be there. The truth that is my wholeness is always going to be present. It might not look like it looks today. I am going to the gym more though. We're trying, okay? It's not fun, but I let it fly. I let my stuff go, and then I claim the truth. I put the truth in writing, that I know that I'm an agent of God. That just because someone has, gotten in my face or created a grain of sand in my life, I recognize there's a place where I'm going to be past this, where I'm going to look back at it, and it's going to become a teaching tool for me to use with everybody else I know, okay? Maybe it will give them some guidance and peace. How amazing is that? That makes that whole experience a gift, okay? I've just completely changed the perspective that I had. around something that was causing issues. If I'm angry, perhaps I've gotten to a place where I recognize that underneath, almost all the time that I'm angry, what's really going on is I'm just afraid. Okay? How would you take care of a little kid who was afraid? Well, you would call him to you, you would hold him on your lap, and you would let him know, hey baby, it's okay. You're never going to be alone. What you are is so beautiful. You know, your light shines so bright. There is no way that anything can take that from you. And you begin to change the nature of that situation for yourself and for that child. That's my favorite way of dumping, taking out the, quote, trash. Another wonderful way to do this that's really quick and really sweet, doesn't require words, is just to go be with our animal companions. How many of you in here have had a difficult time, a time of loss or grief, and your animals, your dogs, your cats, even your horses, got in your face, okay? You know, how many of you had that happen? Oh my God, they are amazing, okay? If you don't have that happen, I'll give you a cat. Well, not really, okay, because I love my children. But, you know, I will be in a bad place, a difficult emotion. Maybe I'll just be tired, you know. By Thursday or Friday, I'm kind of like, I'm over this week, okay? Let's get on and have some Sunday, okay? Let's go have some fun. And I'll go home and do whatever I need to do and get in my chair. And here he comes every day when I sit down. And he's there for himself, but he's there for me too, okay? He's there to say, whatever it was, whoever it was, you know, this is bigger, okay? I'm talking about love, okay? I believe maybe they take on some of our stuff for us. I don't know. What do you think? Powerful. We don't have to have any words or anything with that one. Another amazing way to heal stuff, okay, is through art, through some kind of artistic means. Years ago when I was married, my ex-husband is a therapist. This is one of the reasons we had problems, okay? The poor kid, when we put her in, you know, he and I got split up, and he's a minister, and I'm a minister, and we were both doing therapy, you know, in different realms, okay? And the woman that he married is also a therapist. And when we took the kid to therapy, she was about 13 one day. She said, I hate all of you. You're all therapists and ministers. It's terrible. I mean, I almost broke something laughing, okay? It was just absolutely fantastic, okay? Artwork is amazing, okay? My husband, when we were married, had a client who was an absolutely brilliant artist. This woman's work should be hanging in the highest halls across the world. She is that talented. And like so many people, she has a lot of tortured stuff, a lot of memory, a lot of history that just makes your hair stand on end, okay? It really was amazing. She was working with clay as a medium then, and she would make these clay masks, okay? Just gray masks, no paint, no artwork, no nothing, just a mask. And then she would take barbed wire, okay, and wrap it around the mouth. And you got it. That sometime, somehow, she was just completely shut down, okay? Completely, okay? She moved through that stuff. She healed it, okay? At least a layer of it, and we know sometimes we deal with it and then we get to deal with it some more later down the line, okay? But she healed it. When she was done with it, she came over to our house one day with this box of these clay masks that she had made. I mean, I said, they can't stay here. After she left, I told him, I feel the pain that was embedded in them when she let go of that. I can pick up on the pain. They cannot stay here. They have to go. I don't know where, but they have to go. Artwork can heal you. How many of you as artists have made something, cooked something even, sewn something, painted something, and had it change you? It does, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. A final way, and if Betty would go to the next PowerPoint, a final way of working with emotions that I think is very powerful is to recognize that they are truly, at large, just energy. In the addictions world, there's a guru by the name of John Bradshaw. And in one of his books, Bradshaw talks about E-motions are equal to just energy. When we begin to recognize that and we work with the energy, we change the way that we feel. It's real easy to do that. You know, I feel better emotionally when I have a regular exercise plan. Does that mean that I'm very good at following it? No. Okay? Sorry, but something has to, you know, kind of get shoved to the back. Okay? But it doesn't even have to be that. When my dad died many, many years ago, and all the family was around, one of my brother's wives started cleaning and cleaning and cleaning and made a special trip into Franklin to buy whole milk so she could wash the leaves of every houseplant front and back that my mother had. Oh my God, I thought she was absolutely insane. Okay? What I see today was that activity helped ground her. Okay? It may have looked silly from the outside, but it was saving her soul and giving her a means of focus and also keeping her active. Whereas if she had just gone and sat down, it would have been a much denser experience for her in that moment. Okay? Get up and move. Get up and do something. Even if it's walk into the kitchen and get a glass of water. If you absolutely feel like you cannot do it, let's go for a walk. Okay? I don't walk that fast. Okay? And I whine a lot when I walk because I really don't want to walk. So, you know, it'll be entertaining. What can I say? You know? But when we move the energy of that emotion and we change how it feels from the inside. So we're going to work on our feelings this week. Think of a way you can do this. I don't want to hear back about it unless you want to share it next Sunday. Okay? Because we know that it's all powerful and very often highly personal. Okay? When we make a commitment to heal on this level, we make a commitment to live life in a much fuller way with a frying pan that can accommodate the bigger fish. Sometimes it is through feeling something uncomfortable that we open the door to a lot more light. Okay? And I'm a living testament to that. Our feelings don't generally have the capacity to kill us unless we don't feel them. When we embrace our emotional selves, we stand in a much better potential for living this quote that I'll close with. This comes from Ernest Holmes. You know, I just love it. We're born to be happy, to be abundantly supplied with every good thing, to have fun in living, to consciously unite with the divine power that is around us and within us, and to grow and to expand forevermore. Will you do it with me? I love you guys.